Welcome to the World Football Summit podcast, the show for football industry leaders who want to stay ahead of the game. We bring you the latest insights, trends, and stories from the experts driving innovation and progress in sports business worldwide. Join us as we dive deep into the ideas and initiatives transforming the world of football. From sustainability and innovation to player development, fan engagement, and everything in between. Our goal is to unite the global football industry and drive positive change and progress. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the World Football Summit podcast. I'm your host, Jaime, CMO at World Football Summit. Today, it's a solo episode in which I just came back to several conversations I've been having over the last few months that have made me think, including the one I had with Kike Levy about the role of content, the one with Raide, where we talked about many different things about sponsorship. We talked about the stadium experience. I mean, as with Raide, we always talked about a lot of fun things. And of course, the one we had with Roger Mitchell, which was for me a treat. At the end of the day, the football industry is just changing so quickly. It's becoming hard to adapt. So there are a couple of trends there that I just wanted to share with you. But again, as we always say, subscribe to the podcast, rate it, share it with your colleagues. It does help a lot, bring a quality guest. And you can also subscribe to our newsletter. Every week we send updates, trends, everything that goes on in our events. Hopefully we'll be giving good news very soon. You can find the link in the show notes, so make sure you subscribe. And just remember that 2024 is going to be busy. We already had events in London. We had in Mexico. Sevilla is coming up in September 18th, 19th. Grab your tickets. Let's see, if some more surprises there to come. And, as I said, let's go right to it. And I wanted to start with everything related to content creation and distribution, which is a key thing that I see people talking about in the industry, and I want to start with something that Kike Levy said that was very true, which is, that fan today prefers the 90 seconds to the 90 minutes. We live in an era where technology has created less passionate fans and probably more fragmented. So the challenge there is to grab the attention of the fan, and in a very engaging way. There's just a short span and to really grab their attention and get them engaged. And this is becoming a challenge for traditional broadcasters and clubs, because that means they need to create content at scale. They need to embrace short form content to widen the funnel. And then you have to convert them to either get into a paid subscription or monetize through, if it's a club, through merchandising, whatever, or tickets, whatever it may be. But this, at the end of the day, is becoming a huge challenge, because how do you monetize from this? Is creating content the role, monetizing directly from it, or is it more an indirect, an indirect way, to monetize it? Is it through sponsors, the partners, whatever it may be? I did want to share some examples of short form content, and I specifically want to share, let's go outside of football, just to not personalize it too much. Look at what the Boston Celtics, recent NBA champions have been able to do. They've had just, their social media content is just amazing. And if you look into it, there's several elements that I think help identify why. First of all, the speed. They're able to develop content very quickly in video form, but it's also unique. The way they're filming and the way they're crafting out content is very unique, in a way that it's become kind of like part of the brand, of the social media brand of people, the Boston Celtics. There's also a lot of human element into it behind the scenes. This is something that fans really want. They want to get as close to the game as possible. But above all, it's relevant. It's relevant within the context of culture. It's relevant among the context of whatever's going on with the team, with the sport, and that is, so uniqueness, behind the scenes and relevance are just key things that you really need to keep in mind. And at the end of the day, this brings me to the next phase, which is, personalization. That's going to be a huge opportunity. And this, we also talked about this with Kike Levy on the podcast. And for this, artificial intelligence is going to be key. I was actually listening to an interview on the Marketing Against the Career podcast with Andrew Chen. And they talked about this, how the opportunity is going to be, AI is going to enable to create more engaging, more immersive content, where the fan is actually going to be more, I guess, how they were saying is that we're going to go into a world where actually the connection to content is going to be one-on-one versus one-to-many. And how can football clubs really tap into this? That's the key. It's a huge challenge, obviously. It's easy to say, but I know it's a huge challenge. But some ideas here that we talked about with Kike was personalized camera angles or commentary options or potential I don't know, targeted advertising or even betting campaigns, that tailored to that specific fan. No, so how do clubs tap into that? No, and when you speak about going back to what the Boston Celtics have been able to do in terms of human and behind the scenes content, the role of the athlete here is going to be key because their personal brands today are much, let's say, larger than probably some teams. Just look at the shift when someone like Messi or Ronaldo changes teams, how the number of followers that club gets is just amazing. No, but this creates kind of like a conflict with the traditional rights holders because players are not able to share their own content. It's part of the deal, which is a little bit strange. So for example, you had someone like Hotelu who wanted to share content around their Champions League victory when he was playing for Real Madrid. He couldn't because there was some agreements there. But anyway, why does having a successful athlete-driven content strategy important? Why is it important? Because it amplifies the funnel. It enables to reach new fans. There's so many. You can see it in video games as well, right? Where in video games, a lot of fans actually play a video game. They start following a player, and then they go to the team. And we talked about that with Peter Moore. No, it's a great level for authentic storytelling, and in today's world, a lot of people are looking for authentic and even not professional content. No, to engage. So fans are really more connected to that, and of course, it's a great platform to create content around social causes, philanthropy, whatever you want to call it. No, so there's a lot of angles that can be explored thanks to personalized content. And this brings me, I guess, to another thing that I want to discuss, which is everything related to direct-to-consumer streaming, which is another topic of conversation. I've heard very interesting podcasts there as well. I would recommend that you go listen to the Unofficial Partner podcast with a previous guest on the show, Richard Gillis. They had a brilliant episode about, the state of D2C. They analyzed what was happening with League One. They analyzed the YouTube opportunity. But there was also another brilliant episode talking about FIFA Plus, So obviously, when you look at it, the benefits of a D2C model, obviously you create direct fan relationships and you get more access to data from the fans, which is going to be able to, going back to what we were saying before, create more personalized offers. It gives more flexibility, and you get, as a club or as a property, more control over the message, right? At the end of the day. And you can even, if you think about it, in the future, you'll be able to create more niche audiences. Again, going back to that piece of relevance, which is hugely important. Again, this is easier to say because I understand it's a huge initial investment. Football clubs, at the end of the day, they're football clubs. They're not tech companies, or at least yet, right? So how are they going to really invest in this and really have the patience to see this go through? There's a lot of technical complexities. There's a lot of user experience issues. There's a lot of let's say expectations from the fans. So you can't just launch something. It has to be really good, because the user today is the quality in terms of streaming is huge. We have someone like Netflix, Amazon Prime, DAZN. The quality there is awesome. So if a club goes or a property just goes into the D2C, the level of expectation there is going to be very, very big. And obviously there's a lot of expenses because it's not only a matter of launching it, then you have to actually acquire the customer, but more importantly, retain the customer, which is one of the key things or key challenges that every streamer faces. It's good to go out there, launch it, and acquire new customers, but how can you make sure that customer stays there for the long run? And just look at what's happening over with FIFA Plus. They've just asked for a huge investment. They're looking for a partner to drive investment because they're not seeing it succeed to the way they wanted to. They've also had troubles in terms of broadcasting with the Apple TV deal falling through. And again, how do you keep users engaged over the entire year? Because obviously now with FIFA Club World Cup next year or with the World Cup, that's easy, I guess. But what happens in those years that you don't have that tournament? How do you keep people engaged? That's a big one. Or even someone like League One. I know they've finally been able to close the broadcasting deal with DAZN and Bain. Just for reference, it's worth a combined 500 million euros per season until 2029. But this is much lower versus the 1 billion figure they were hoping to set or the demand from someone trying to get the broadcasting rights. And one of the options they were considering is setting up their own D2C streaming platform. But again, huge challenges there. So if someone like League One is not able to succeed there, gives you kind of like a sense of what goes on behind the scenes. It's not just let's go into D2C streaming. No, again, as we talked with Peter Bellamy, it doesn't have to be one or the other. You can probably just have like your broadcasting deal, and then little by little build your D2C platform, and kind of like bring people from your let's say traditional broadcaster over to your D2C streaming, and then combine both, right? And then obviously the broadcaster there would benefit because they would get access to the data, assuming there's a partnership deal in there. No, again, it's not only about acquiring customers; it's also about retaining and monetizing from them. So because it's really difficult to actually get customers who engage digitally to actually get revenue. So there could be some different approaches, like the micropayments or the freemium models. I mean, if you look at a platform like Buzzer, it's a pity that they went out of the. This is something we discussed with Roger, no, that they ran out of business. Was it too soon for them? I don't know. Maybe it was, but the idea was very interesting. Maybe context here is key. We've talked about this in the past as well. It's not only having a good idea; it's being able to find the right market context. It's about finding product market fit, and maybe at that time the market was not ready for that solution, and also of course the matter of resources. No? You really need a talented team. You need different set of resources that maybe today not all properties have. Of course, you go into someone like City who has a direct content studio. They're amazing, yes, but not everybody is a City Football Group, right? So how do you balance that? No? Let's shift over to other topics. Like the stadium experience, which for me is key. I think it's the element that differentiates football properties from other forms of entertainment. And this we had a very fun conversation with Raide, because now it's not only about the stadium being it's an asset class, and everything that you can do around the stadium in terms of commercial, in terms of even residences or offices, it's an asset that clubs can get benefits from over the long term. No, and there we were talking about when we went to the fan experience, about the role of technology, about reducing friction. So you have innovations like contactless payments or AR experiences. At the end of the day, you need to be very good to justify or to give the fan a compelling reason to actually get out of their couch, go out of the door, and go into the stadium, and plan the day at the stadium. So it really has to be a very powerful proposition. But if you do that, probably it's not only you're going to get your match day revenues go up, probably you're going to get more commercial and more broadcasting rights, because you're going to get broadcasters and partners are going to see that your property is interesting. At the end of the day, there's a core element. Yes, you can put a lot of technology around it, but at the end of the day, football is football, and the stories, the passion, the memories, it's unique, right? So how you can leverage that and make that a part of a valuable proposition, and then another thing there is how do you balance the local versus the global fan bases? So obviously we discussed it with Roger. The importance of having local community connections, and at the end of the day, or something that we discussed with Peter Moore. When he was saying that a club has to have a local heart and a global pulse, meaning yes, you cannot forget about your local fan, because they're the one that actually going to go to the stadium. It's the one that actually has the values, the community. But at the end of the day, and we discussed with this Stephen Mandis. Is it the person that actually supports the club but doesn't really spend any money, or is it that fan that lives outside and is able to pay top dollar to get huge experiences? It's a tricky balance. It is a tricky balance because you cannot forget one or the other. You really have to make sure that your international fan is treated as equally as well as the local fan, even if they're kilometers away. And in that sense, I think, as we said, fans are unique, because when you compare it to other industries, I mean, right? Because a football fan or a sports fan is passionate, is loyalty to a fault. I mean, just think about it. If you follow a team, it's very rare that you actually decide to change teams, right? Even if they get relegated, even if they acquire a player that you don't like. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to stay supporting the club. Whereas, in that sense, they even feel somewhat empowered, like feeling that the club is theirs. Where do you see that in other industries? It's hardly rare to see that. You don't see that in the phone industry or in the car industry. You don't see that usually. I mean, there are some cases, but it's not common, right? The thing is here, it's a key question that always comes to mind is, why are football clubs always focused on creating fans or converting fans into customers, rather than having customers be turned into fans, which is what the rest of the world is trying to do. So at the end of the day, you really have to make sure that you maximize or you capture value, but you have to create value for the fan as well, right? But think about it, how do you do that? Obviously, with Friday, we also talked about other technologies like NFTs and Web3, and I think the world of NFTs is going to be tied to physical experiences, sorry, in a way, because there's going to be ticketing schemes, memberships, digital collectibles. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're able to tie or blur the lines between the physical and the digital experience, that's probably where the NFTs and the Web3 space makes sense. But so far, it hasn't been picked up. I mean, you do see some clubs making efforts. Manchester United, City Football Group, of course. There are some clubs that are doing things that are interesting, but for some reason, the space hasn't kicked off yet. No, and at the end of the day, it's going to be hard to really educate consumers or fans in this case to embrace that technology, to understand it. But it does make sense what City and Manchester United are doing, which is basically giving out the technology for free, just to educate the customer, empower them, and then the monetization will come. It's not monetizing from the get go. I think that's the interesting approach. We also discussed it with Pet Berisha on the podcast, so make sure to check that out as well. No. And finally, everything related to the broadcasting landscape is another key thing. At the end of the day, media rights was a bull market for 30 years, as Roger Mitchell was saying, but now we're not there yet. You look at the we discussed before, the French football, the Ligue 1 deal. It's lower in value. Even FIFA having troubles and closing their deal for the FIFA World Cup. Even if you look at Serie A taking a lower pay cut, even or the EPL, which they did have a good deal in terms of overall value, but when you looked at the average match day revenue, it's a bit lower. So what's going to happen there? Because for this, when you look at the Deloitte Money League report for the first time in very in a lot of years, the partnership revenue has actually surpassed the broadcasting revenue among the top 20 clubs in the Money League. So again, as we discussed with Peter Bellemid, I think the opportunity there is going to be a combined approach between the traditional and the D2C, as we were mentioning before. So let's see how that evolves. And obviously the role of private equity here. What is their role in this? Are they going to be funding? Because usually, the private equity is going to help set up the D2C streaming. But again, what is the long-term expectation of that? Because that's a long-term operation. Is there going to be patient? Is there going to be skills? Are there? There's a lot of pressure to generate revenue in a football club in the short term. So how do you do that? No, obviously, when you have good broadcasting, it's much better to get better brand growth, to get more value creation. I mean, the opportunities are there. But again, there's a lot of things that come into play, or for example, the impact of promotion and relegation, or the resources the club need to implement there. That's where the conversation around the closed league comes into play. Yes, the American sports model is able to look at what's happening over with the NBA. They're going to close. The figures that they're reporting are true, with that 70 billion deal over the next few years. If they get that to be approved, and it seems like it is, it's going to be announced soon. Look at that, but is football in Europe ready to embrace that model? Do we want that model? It comes back to the question of do we want football to be entertaining or entertainment? And that's credit to the Are You Not Entertained podcast. I think this is kind of like the essence of what they like to discuss. Obviously, when you look at the close league, the benefits obviously is financial stability, long-term planning. So that enables longer deals in terms of partnership, longer broadcasting deals. But again, you sacrifice tradition, you sacrifice legacy, you sacrifice, the jeopardy of the game, which is kind of like what sells really football. It's kind of like the essence of football, no? And at the end of the day, there is opportunities for innovation in terms of new revenue streams, like the embedded finance that we talked with Friday, or loyalty programs. E-commerce obviously is going to come into play. Virtual experiences, I think in the future we're going to see that. Again, I think football clubs really need to diversify revenue streams, because the traditional sports business model is outdated. This is something we've been discussing way since way back. I remember that conversation we had with Michael Broughton on the podcast. Again, I think at the end of the day, it's really understanding where the fans are. what is their behavior, what type of technology they're embracing in their day-to-day life. I'm not really referring to sport. You have to really understand their context, and being relevant, at the end of the day. And you have to balance tradition with innovation. I think fans are fans because there's a certain element of tradition, of some things that that are just core to the sport, right? So, and I think the Major League Baseball here is a good example to follow. They were able to innovate the game, without really forgetting about the essence of the sport. So, how do you do that? It's a tricky balance, but again, how do you not compromise the legacy of what the sport really is, the essence, what football really is about, which is powerful stories, unique memories, emotions. How do you not forget that? And then on that, innovate. Think of where your fans are and how you can add value to them. And of course, this is something that we're discussing today. But what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years? Well, I don't know. There's going to be everything with AI. It just seems every day is changing. Let's see what happens there. Because you don't know if that's going to be a hype or not. You don't know. I don't think it's hype. Obviously, I think AI is going to be a game changer. I'm just trying to see the use cases for sport where they're really, really going to land, and how sport properties are going to embrace it and how they're going to use it. Obviously, the use cases or the potential use cases are enormous. I'm not saying that, but at the end of the day, what you need to understand is how skilled are the clubs in embracing this new technology. So I don't know, let me know your thoughts, because these are just some things that were going through my mind. This is kind of like a different episode. Let me know if this was interesting to you. If it was, or you want to keep the conversation going, please feel free. Thank you guys for tuning into a I guess different episode of the World Football Summit podcast. Any thoughts, just reach out on social media, get in touch, and we'll be happy to continue the conversation there. And nothing else from my side. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and hopefully we'll see you next time.